Refactor, how have you built yours? Right, surprising absolutely no one, of course. Refactor is the new top tier meta, according to YouTube. No, it bloody isn't. Sorry. In terms of overall skill build damage, you can get more out of a normal skill build. In terms of healing, you can get more out of FI. And in terms of buff, you can get more out of FI. Hell, even like the closest thing to the buffs that you're able to get through Refactor are directly comparable to True Patriot. And as we all know, True Patriot is a piece of shit. So how this can be meta when its closest competitor for what it actively gives is True Patriot is, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is better than True Patriot. But yeah, just to prove a point, because I know someone's going to argue it, a full red DPS build has 726,015 health. With True Patriot, hitting an enemy under white flag restores 2% of their armor once per second. Now, the once per second is the real killer of this, but 2% of 726,015 is 14,520. The average drone build or the average drone attack on a skill build is about 150k. 10% of that being returned to you as healing is about 15k. So yeah, we're already losing about 500 healing essentially. The kicker here and why Refactor wins in this scenario is the fact that you can have drone and turret, and it's more tied to how many hits they can do rather than it being once per second. Honestly, if they changed True Patriot to 5% of the damage you do with your primary weapon is returned to you and your allies as healing, considering we're able to hit like 800,000, that's 40,000 healing done, and with like weapons at like 900 RPM, yeah, you'd be back to like full armor in a split second. Everyone would forget Refactor even existed, and True Patriot will be the new shiny meta. So it's not meta, I'm afraid to say. It is very good. I'm not here to tell you it's a bad set, don't use it. I fully intend to use this. I like my support style builds. This is going to be a great set. It is not meta. So, Refactor. 2-piece gives 15% status effect, 3-piece gives 25% skill damage, and the 4-piece unlocks the talent Return to Sender. Receive repairs of 10% of the damage you dealt by your skills. Your allies will receive repairs of 20% of the damage dealt. In PvP, it's 5% for yourself and 10% for allies. The chest, as anyone else knows, I've got the PvE and PvP stats the wrong way around on the thing. So it should be in PvE, Return to Sender is increased by 10 to 25 for you and from 20 to 35 for your allies. And in PvP, it should go from 5 to 15 and 10 to 20 in PvP. They've got them the wrong way around. And I keep looking at it and I'm on like my 5th take, so I keep giggling at it and getting it wrong because they're the fucking wrong way around. And the backpack does something that no one should care about. Basically, if you overheal, you can get bonus armor, but it only applies to you, and it's like up to 80% of your total armor. You shouldn't care about this at all. Right, now for the fun part. Well, at least it is for me, because I've been waiting all day to make a video on this, just so I can say this. Right, are you ready? Are you ready? Come closer, come closer. Come on, zoom in, zoom in. If you're looking for an absolutely 100% guaranteed way to absolutely nerf the fuck out of how this set works, put Ninja Byte Backpack on it. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying this to be, because I've done a lot of work on Ninja Byte Backpack in the past. It's probably one of the worst items in the game. Not the worst, but one of. Simply to the fact that depriving you of a backpack talent is most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, not worth it. On average, it nerfs your build by about 30%. And this has only gotten worse since they've changed how a lot of the brand set bonuses now work. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that like going from 10% crit chance to 8% crit chance on Cheska and then 15 to 13% crit damage on Grupo has actively hurt how Ninja Bite Backpack can compete with backpack talents. So it's now even worse. Here's the kicker, right? Everything Refactor does, how it works, its entire function revolves around how much damage you do with your skills. Now, I haven't tested it recently, but like I said previously, no matter what build you put it on, Ninja Bite Backpack was a 30% nerf to basically any form of damage. Due to how this set works, guess what that also works out to be? A 30% nerf to your healing. So I'm not saying this just to be like, oh, elitist, damage dealing, DPS meta. No, the entire function of this set revolves around how much damage you do. If you reduce your damage, you're also reducing your survivability. You're also reducing your healing. You're reducing your teammates' survivability. You're reducing your teammates' healing. Putting Ninja Bite Backpack on this build is quite literally like stabbing yourself in the eye and thinking it's a bloody good thing. It isn't. So I sat in the range with a variety of different builds utilizing Ninja Bite Backpack without the refactor chest, with the refactor chest, bloody blah. These are the results. The ones where it says combined, and it's like 100%, that is a Wyvern chest with kinetic momentum and the named Hanayu backpack force multiplier for perfect combined arms. I don't have max rolls on this, and I don't quite have everything set up how I would actually like. So these numbers are, well, I'll put it this way. I handicapped the build that I would like to run, which is the combined for turret and drone, because I don't have the full rolls where when I tested things like the Ninja Bite Backpack and the Refactor chest and a few other things that I added in, they are all maxed rolled Empress or Wyvern, whereas I removed the non-max rolls Refactor pieces, namely the gloves and the knees. Hopefully you can see that combined, the turret was hitting 264,650, which is 26,465 in healing. The drone was hitting 158,215, which is 15,822 in healing. I then basically used the exact same build with kinetic momentum on the chest, put Ninja Bite Backpack on, and then put in 2 Empress pieces. This was a 27.04% drop in both my damage and my healing. Yeah, ridiculous. Again, though, you have to remember those 2 Empress pieces were maxed out in terms of their skill damage stats, where the gloves, I believe, on my Refactor piece is like 4.6%, and the knees on my Refactor piece, they don't have skill damage on it. They've got skill haste on. Skill damage is eluding me. The next thing I tested was running 3-piece Refactor with the chest, which is the far left-hand side, utilizing Ninja Bite Backpack. This is a 39.33% drop in damage, but we do get 51.68% more in healing. This is actually still mostly not worth it because just the actual damage you're doing is shit. And then on the far right-hand side, we have the chest with Force Multiplier Backpack, which is a 25.11% drop in damage, but an 87.21% increase in healing. So, just in case you're not picking up what I'm putting down, if you're wanting the maximum amount of damage, Ninja Bite Backpack is shit. If you're wanting the maximum amount of healing, Ninja Bite Backpack is shit. If you're wanting the maximum amount of survivability, Ninja Bite Backpack is shit. If you want to go more for survivability and the healing side of things, utilizing the Refactor chest with a damage talent backpack is best. If you're wanting to focus more on just doing consistent, more like a higher uptime on your damage, putting something like kinetic momentum on, along with a damage backpack talent such as perfect combined arms is the one that I would suggest, but if you want to go for tech support, it's entirely up to you, was also best. I found literally no combination utilizing Ninja Bite Backpack where it was even remotely worth me even looking at my damn spreadsheet to frigging calculate the difference. It was so unreal how bad it was putting Ninja Bike on this bloody set. Don't fucking do it. Please, for the love of God. Or me. You know, I'll take the love of Dod any day. Now, in the PTS, I said one of the best ways to actually run this was utilizing glass cannon. I am now talking a hell of a lot about kinetic momentum. Why is this? Well, I, for one, personally like my actual weapon to also do some damage. I don't like purely relying on my skills to do basically 99% of the work. So, for me, glass cannon is still a better option. That being said, the only reason glass cannon, in terms of skill builds, is still outperforming kinetic momentum is simply because capacitor exists. You're able to sit there, shoot an enemy with your weapon to build up stacks, which will give your skills more damage, which means you are shooting. Glass cannon is going to affect both your skills and your weapon damage. That is how it wins. We're combining both skill and weapon damage when we're calculating the full potential DPS of a skill build. However, if we are just looking at what the skills do exactly, kinetic momentum gives a total of 45% total skill damage, TSD, and perfect combined arms, what I'm using, is 30% total skill damage. This is, in combination, 75% total skill damage, a 75% multiplier, essentially. Whereas glass cannon, 1.25, times perfect combined arms, 1.3, is a 62.5% multiplier. In short, if we're just looking at skills on their own with nothing else involved, kinetic momentum does actually beat glass cannon, and because kinetic momentum is then beating glass cannon in terms of just skill damage, this also means we're also getting more healing. So, onto the builds. The first one is going to be sort of like the max sort of DPS that we can really get utilizing Refactor, and by extension, a good stable amount of healing. So we're going to use a Hanayu Corporation chest with kinetic momentum, and then the Force Multiplier backpack for perfect combined arms, and then 4-piece Refactor. We're going to be using the Technician specialization, so we can roll one of those skill tiers to a red core for more weapon DPS. If you really want, you can go blue. I personally don't see the need for it. You're healing a ton with this build. I'm using a mock-up of this build in all of the footage in the background. You can see I'm not exactly squishy. I can take like a beating and then heal pretty damn quick from all of it, and I can run around. I can even like face tank grenades. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. However, if you are in a group and you want to maximize that overall healing effectiveness, again, 4-piece Refactor with 2 Hanayu, still utilizing Force Multiplier, and I've just swapped out the gloves for the Hanayu, and we've put the Refactor chest in instead. So first build is for more damage, probably like running around in heroic with like groups and friends, but if you really want to get like a max healer out but still able to do damage within like a legendary setting, this is the one. You still do pretty decent damage as long as you're able to get like a consistent uptime with your backpack talent. So if you don't want to run something like perfect combined arms and want to go for tech support, that's fine. Just try and stick with 2-piece Hanayu for that skill haste and 10% skill damage. If you're struggling to find that, Hanayu and Wyvern is fine. It's literally a 2% drop in skill damage. I'm literally just talking like absolute maxing out a random stat here. So it's not the biggest deal. With all of the skill haste that we'll have involved here, utilizing Hanayu, the 2 skill haste rolls we get from 2 Hanayu, and then also the 3 mods of skill haste. Both our turret and drone are down to around a 14-second cooldown, which is great. We're able to get like a decent amount of uptime on both of them. And of course, remember, if you really want, you can go down the status effect route. There is nothing wrong with this. It is just not as consistent. I, for one, find going down the skill damage route a lot more engaging, a lot more fun, but it is nowhere near as consistent. I know people that are liking the mortar turret. The problem I have with that is the moment the mortar turret runs out of ammo and it goes on cooldown, if I need healing, I've got to wait like 20 damn seconds, because if you're running that sort of thing, it's not like you're going to have like the normal assault turret or the drone, which is able to get consistent amounts of healing out. That bigger burst is kind of nice if you have a tankier person in your group, but it's also completely not needed. Realistically, having smaller healing more consistently does seem to be the better option. So, main takeaway. from this entire video. The entire set revolves around how much damage you do with your skills. Because of this, Ninja Bite Backpack nerfs all of it. Don't run Ninja Bite Backpack. 2, focusing on a damage talent for your backpack and chest is going to be more beneficial. I personally will probably still be running Glass Cannon because that's me personally. However, Kinetic Momentum is a very, very, very powerful, viable choice. It will give you more actual skill damage. As I said, the only reason in the long run that Glass Cannon beats Kinetic Momentum is because Capacitor, we're shooting with Capacitor, we build up stacks with Capacitor, and adding in the DPS of Capacitor with Glass Cannon on top of the skill damage with Glass Cannon and everything else, Glass Cannon does actually end up doing more overall. But if we're just looking at specifically skills, which is basically all of what Refactor does, especially in terms of what you can then get from healing, Kinetic Momentum is winning in that area. So Kinetic Momentum is a very, very good, powerful choice for your chest talent. For your backpack talent, Combined Arms or Tech Support are actually probably going to be the best ones you want to go. I'm more of a fan of Combined Arms. I'm aware it's got like a 3-second uptime, but as long as you keep shooting, you can keep going. I try and find that, or I personally find, continually shooting is generally the better option, especially with a turret and drone around, just because you don't get shot back as much. Now, for the chest, this is going to be entirely up to you as to whether you feel like you need the healing. Running around like on heroic open world, heroic missions, I personally don't feel like you do. I haven't really been able to get a full team together to run this in Legendary yet. Hopefully that is something I can do once I've fully maxed and optimized my build and can show fully what that build is capable of. And then we can probably run it like another time with a different setup, utilizing the chest or not utilizing the chest, etc., etc. And we can hopefully figure it out, see what, not just what I preferred, but see what also the team preferred, how they felt about it. It's going to be very hard to actually do this because obviously we're going to try and have to run both sort of missions as similarly as possible with each other. But that is something I will be looking into. And other than that, I'm generally actually just looking forward to playing around with the set. I'm generally enjoying it. Again, though, it's not meta. However, in the meantime, have fun. Good luck. Don't die. It's bad for the health.